Now for something completely different. This is about the internet. The internet and its various business forms has had the usual roller coaster ride of a bubble, a boom, a bust, and now a robust return. And it's returning in an interesting way, manifesting all kinds of new services. And I find among the most fascinating of those services are these virtual worlds where people have an opportunity to really create for themselves a new life, or in the language of one of those sites, a second life. And what we're learning, and that's the reason we're having Brenda here, who's an academic who actually studies these phenomena, is that more and more people are investing an enormous amount into this activity. Indeed, some of them are going beyond what they invest into their real life and put it into this second life. So I've asked Brenda Brathwaite, who is from Savannah, Georgia, and is a student of these matters, to come up here and tell us what's going on and why. Thanks, Brenda.
I study the things people do on the internet. I'm also a game developer and have been for 25 years. I got started when I was 15 and have yet to get a real job. But it pays well and I'm happy with it. I've been asked a lot of times here at the conference, what on earth is a game designer? And a game designer basically creates, think of me as an architect, except I make stuff in digital worlds. There's been much discussion about the real world and the spiritual world, but what about the virtual world? So if I am a designer and say I create this house, in the game world there's a lot more than that, because not only do I have to create the house, but I have to create the world in which the house exists. I create the people. I create everything. So in some sense, a game designer is really a modern day God. Which I'm not trying to say I'm God or anything, but it's one example. Anyway, but the nutshell of it is a game designer puts you in an experience. Like, let's just say right now this is very passive, but what you people in here, down on the floor, don't know is that the people along the walls right now are selecting numbers. They're not really, but just pretend they were. And if they were, the numbers that they select by random, they're bidding on you and deciding which one of you is going to drop through the floor. But what these guys don't know is the people up here are controlling them, doing the same things. And what these people don't know is that Moses is back there ready to do the same to them. So a game designer turns everything into an experience where you become a part of it and not passive. Also, it is a unique and active form of art. It is unlike anything else. Like, here's one of my favorite books, Steinbeck's East of Eden. Now, if you read East of Eden, you would say, I read a fabulous book. Notice that's passive, right? So then, or I saw a great movie. I listened to some great music. So it's me, and I'm apart from that. But if any of you have played Guitar Hero, Guitar Hero is fabulous, and I love it, and I am great, and I can beat Bark at the Moon. I can do it. I did it, and I'm happy with that. And it's a very active form of stuff. I can, for instance, kick my husband's ass at any first-person shooter, and I like that. And so you say, I raced a car, not I played a game, or I watched a car race. No, I raced the car, or I was bowling. I'm currently addicted to bowling, in case anybody cares. Or I went on an adventure in a virtual world. And games really have tremendous potential. The guy, Austin Hill, I think his name is, who was talking about the world that they're making, like we can really make a difference. And it's absolutely true. So here's some examples, like the United Nations. These are things that help show people. And stuff I don't have about here, like I'm a professor and I know I'll be talking about boring game design stuff. And believe me, after a while, students do become bored with games. And I can make any game boring if I talk about the theory long enough. Anyway, so these guys, games have the potential. I've watched kids with ADHD. They can play World of Warcraft for 8 hours at a clip with no problem, and they zone out after 10 minutes of discussion. Right? Games have amazing potential. If any of you have ever played Civilization, you probably learned something from that game, and you weren't aware you were learning something because you were having fun, but when you were done, you learned something. Or if any of you have played Guitar Hero, you'll hear a song on the radio, and you've kind of figured out, okay, granted, you're not going to go pick up a guitar and have a fabulous time with it. I mean, at best, you'll kind of make a fool of yourself, and we'll all laugh. And notice I used you, not me, during that particular point. Anyway, So video games, here's like, fighting world hunger, helping kids avoid online predators. These are just some of the things that you could do with games. Anything can be made an interactive experience. So then, the obligatory question, which I sort of hear, yeah, but video games are crazy and they're causing all kinds of people to kill people and there's all this stuff going on. So not making any light of the Virginia Tech massacre, 2 people came out immediately and said it's video games. And it turns out the shooter didn't even play games, but they blamed games. And I should have said while the slide was up there, actually crime is at a 30-year low. And you can see this comes from The Economist. And so that's pretty exciting. And game sales are going up. In fact, there's been projects in the inner city where, like bringing PS2s and PS1s, old game consoles, into environments really actually helps people. It gives them something to do. Brings me, bizarrely enough, to Web 3.0, because this is where game developers and game designers are going to create this new environment, and it's necessary. So if you imagine like Web 1.0, right? Web 1.0 is where we take all of our crap and put it on the internet. Every piece of crap information we've got, we dump it all onto the internet. And then in Web 2.0, we basically say, I'll share my crap with you. Feel free to pick through my crap, organize my crap in any way you want it. I will share all my crap. And we're all excited about being able to click boxes and drag stuff online. Like, this is so mundane and so boring, right? So Web 3.0, and now this is the big deal, for me at least, it's something totally new. Why I felt the need to fade in something new, I have no idea, but there you are. Anyway, so this sentence seems to make no sense, and my apologies to anybody who at all cares about grammar. But something do. So here's the point. Video games, unlike any other form of media, are something you do. It's not, you need to create a space in which people can do anything. And that's actually fairly challenging. It's like me handing, I need to hand somebody a paintbrush and some paints and a canvas and let them paint their experience in this world and really believe at the end that they did it. Although they didn't. I provided all the room in which they could have that experience. Like, there's only so many experiences you could have in this room. And whoever created this room gave us the opportunity to have that. Now, I talked earlier about the full range of human expression. So here's a couple. This is just like traditional human society. We start out, we basically have mastered ways to beat the hell out of each other and to have sex online. This is Jenna Jameson. She has a game, believe it or not, and that's from, I think, EverQuest over there. We've also created, you ever censor something and you obviously see that there was no point in doing that? There you go. Anyway, so we've also, and this isn't a real guy, this is a digital guy. One of the things that I've discovered in my research is if you give people the tools, they will create penises. They actually will. They'll make penises that you can buy. This is from Second Life. People are fascinated. Right now, they're fascinated with connecting online, being able to replicate what they can in the real world. But anyway, so they'll do this, and then there will also actually, once they create penises, they will attack people with their penises. And this really happened. There was this news conference, and in the middle of the news conference, in came flying penises, and anyway, there it is. We've also had a tremendous amount of emergent sexual content. Now, by emergent sex, I mean this was never programmed in, this was never intended. This is all created by people. This is stuff people are bringing online on their own. And they're creating whole new ways of doing this. And when I talked about, the Web 3.0 is really about giving people a space in which they can create something new, something totally brand new, not merely you sorting through my crap or me dumping crap on there, but me saying, here's a whole bunch of new tools that we in human society have never had before, ever. Make something new, make something exciting. And just, for the business people here, there's lots of money in this. I mean, think about it, 8 million players of World of Warcraft, $12.95 a month, every single month. That's a whole lot of money. That's a mother load of money. And we also make whole new worlds that aren't necessarily filled with sex. This is a picture from Second Life. And yes, absolutely, there sure is sexual content in Second Life. But there's also other servers that have absolutely none. And believe it or not, now this is emergent. This is not a part of the game. People have figured out a way to actually create virtual life in virtual worlds, new virtual life. And what's potentially wacky and fun about this is if you consider, if you have any belief in the concept of a soul, right? And we don't necessarily know where the soul might be. But if you have a concept and the belief of that, and let's just say if you're really immersed in a game, and I've heard several people have come up to me and said, I was playing something and I was there and it was like 8 hours passed and I had no idea. So let's just say souls had the ability to transfer wherever your thoughts were. And so what if there were virtual souls, right? And what happens, what happens with this? Anyway, it's just an interesting concept to consider. So people have really created this. all on their own. And every one of these little people you see here, these are all individual people from all over the world, And you know, what gets me is like, imagine if 8 million people, and this is just in one virtual world, if 8 million people, let's just say they declared peace on a country and each one of them sent $1 somewhere. You know, that's pretty amazing. Or, you know, I don't know, if they all decided to do something nice one day. You know, there's all kinds of stuff. We're already seeing cool things, like there's the first civil rights movement has happened online. Someone wanted to create a gay guild on World of Warcraft. They said, no, stay in the closet, it's for your own good. This didn't go well. There was actually a pride march in World of Warcraft. These are real screenshots. There was a pride parade, there was a pre-party, there was a gay cruise in World of Warcraft. All this sort of stuff. So we've really seen the very first virtual rights. There's whole new art forms. I don't know if any of you are familiar with machinima. So machinima is actually where people create movies from video game footage, because just like you take a camera and put it around here in the real world, you can also take a camera and move it around in a virtual world, and people are creating all kinds of cool stuff. So the point of this, as you can clearly see, everybody from several miles away can probably see, it's all about giving people the possibility to create these virtual worlds. What's important about this is it's really revolutionizing how people process information. You know, it's not the same thing. Where the real stuff is breaking is in a virtual world where anybody, regardless of who they are and what color they are and what their sexuality is, they can do anything online. In fact, brand new fetishes are being created online. Brand new forms of sexuality, like real forms of sexuality, are being created online, and that's really exciting. And this is how people process information. You know, they ask, you know, what do I do? What do I do with it? And you watch people downstairs, what does it do? And people just don't say, well, show it to me. It's like, I want to interact with it. You know, and that's critical. No matter what you do, think about, like, if there's a message you want to get across, it's something that people want to know how they can interact with it. And if they can interact with it, they'll remember it. It's just the way it is. And so I'll leave you with this particular thought. I mean, think about it really. Whatever it is you do, ask yourself, what are people going to do with that information, with that whatever? How will you allow them to create in the space that you currently have? That's the job of game designers, and I really believe that that's where Web 3.0 will take us. Thank you.